What's going on, guys? I've never made a video like this, but and this will probably be the last video I ever make on this topic, but I wanted to do an in-depth analysis on why Ken has been struggling so much this year. And I think it has less to do with his gameplay, so to speak, and more so the classes that he's using, as well as the main culprit, which I believe is his controller settings. Now, if you notice in the very beginning of the year, you'll see a stark difference between players' movement then and now. And a lot of people think, oh, well, yeah, pros are getting more comfortable with the game, right? So their movement's going to naturally get better. And I would say yes and no. In the beginning of the year, most players were playing on a setting called single tap to sprint or double tap. And now most players are playing on single tap to run. And so this video, I want to do an in-depth analysis on the key differences between single tap to sprint and single tap to run. And hopefully after watching this, you'll be able to see maybe why Ken has been struggling as much as he has. And I'm going to just show you how obsolete single tap to sprint is. It should not even be a setting. I don't even know what it does. I don't know what the setting does. It's not a good setting. It's worse than just playing on double tap. And I think that all pros should just play on single tap to run and just even the playing field, because it's not just a matter of skill gap, but it is a matter of the way in which the setting works in conjunction with omni movement. And so I'm going to show you it right now. I have examples. I'm going to show you gameplay, and then I'm going to show you examples of how many times Ken is getting screwed over because of the class he's using, and specifically the fact that he's using quick draw, which is the worst attachment you can ever use on any AR, as well as him playing with playing on single tap to sprint. So as you can see, this is Ken's class. If you go to his Twitch and you type !Amos, this is the video that will pop up. He's using the Kepler Microflex, the ported compensator, reinforced barrel, and I want you guys to note quick draw grip, which is the worst attachment to put on the Amos, and you're going to see why. And then he's also using recoil springs. So as you can see, I have the same class, ported compensator, reinforced barrel, quick draw grip, recoil springs. This is the class. This is usually what Ken uses, or he will switch it up, and he has his second class where he takes off the recoil springs, and he puts on vertical foregrip. Reinforced barrel, ported, everything's the same. He just he switches back and forth, but he never ever takes off his quick draw grip. And so when we go into movement, this is what I'm speaking about. So I have the single tap to sprint setting. So this is for your tack sprint, but it affects far more than you think it does. And then what I was speaking about is most pros, they play on sprint assist on, which means omni movement from left to right back is going to activate. You don't have to click any buttons. It's just when you move your thumbstick in whichever direction you need to. So these are the settings, and now we're going to get into the gameplay. Okay, so we have Ken's first class with quick draw and recoil springs, and this is with single tap to sprint on. So what I want you to notice is the bobbing of the Amos. My gun is bobbing a lot. It's bobbing back and forth, right? And so this is actually affecting my movement more than you think. And then also I want you to see, look at this pause that happens. When I slide and there's a slight pause before I can go back into my omni movement activation as I'm moving left to right. Remember, I have sprint assist on. And the gun is bobbing, right? And so there's so much delay in what I'm doing, and even if I'm trying to move quicker, and you can even see that backslide, that really awkward backslide is something that Ken does so much because, and that backslide, that is specific 99% of the time because of someone having quick draw grip. And you can also see that my movement is incredibly limited, right? My omni is really limited, and even though I'm able to zoom in faster, my omni is so slow And I'm moving so slow because there is this sort of delay. I don't know how to explain it. There's like a delay between when you're in the Omni and when it stops. And this is not the case, as you'll see with single tap to run. And so this is sort of what Ken's POV would look like. He's very limited. So now we're going into the second class, and it's even more noticeable when you're using vertical grip as opposed to recoil springs, because there is a little bit more weight to the gun and you're going to be moving a little bit slower. But as you can see, I'm just moving incredibly slow. Right, I'm moving very slow because of the quick draw grip, as well as on single tap to sprint there is a delay. There's a delay when you're activating your Omni and when you're then able to go back into another slide, another back slide, another side slide, whatever the case may be. So just take a look at it. Right, you're moving really slow, and your gun is sort of all over the place. And when I'm sliding into an ADS, there is a sense that I'm not really able to aim exactly where I want to. And again, I'm not the best player, but I just notice with quick draw grip, as well as single tap to sprint, there's just a delay. And it's hard to tell, but once we get into the tap to run, you're going to see a huge difference. You're just moving slower. And this has nothing to do with skill, but you are limited. The game is limiting you when you're playing on single tap to sprint. And that's why I say I don't know exactly what the setting is supposed to do, on top of the fact that I have to double tap to go into my tag sprint, and then it delays me again. I can't go into it constantly. Now this is with ergonomic grip. And so this is simply switching ergonomic grip. Going back when you saw that really awkward backslide, that is a result of quick draw grip, and Ken does it all the time and it hurts him. And so you can even see already I'm getting so much more movement speed, right? Look at that movement speed I have. I'm getting so much more movement speed. I'm able to get to places quicker, and this is on tap to sprint, right? This is single tap to sprint. And it just looks so much smoother. I'm able to do my backslides a lot quicker, and because I'm not using vertical foregrip, I'm able to zoom in a little bit faster, right? You're not really sacrificing too much in terms of ADS speed, and most pros in the league are using vertical foregrip anyway. But you can see that even now it's just a lot better just putting on ergonomic grip. But I'm telling you, when you're in game, and you're going to see when I'm in real games, that it's still limiting because of this bobbing animation that you get when you're in single tap to sprint. It's really, really, really noticeable. But you can see already a huge difference, and Ken refuses to put on this attachment. I don't know why. I don't know why none of his teammates have told him, especially Dashy, because he plays with ergonomic on. And now this is vertical grip with ergonomic. So as you can see, this is the class that Dashy uses, and this is on single tap to sprint. Look how much more movement. Obviously you see that awkward backslide. That's typically what you're going to get a lot when you're playing on single tap to sprint, because when you're in your Omni, you are not moving as quickly as you are when you're playing on single tap to run. So that's something to note, in my opinion. But just looking at the differences are huge, in my opinion. I mean, just go back to the first one with quick draw grip, and now look at ergonomic with the vertical foregrip. Right, my centering looks a lot better, but obviously you can still see that I'm limited in my Omni movement because of that single tap to sprint. And once again, I'm a casual player, right? I play ranked and stuff like that, but I promise you that single tap to sprint is not a skill thing. It's not, oh, this pro is better than you and they're playing on single tap to sprint. I don't know why this is a setting. So you can just see that there's a delay. There's this slight delay. And obviously ergonomic grip makes it a lot better because it just gives you significantly more side and just omni movement, slide behavior, omni movement, and obviously that's key in this game. So, yeah. Okay, now we are using quick draw with recoil springs with single tap to run. And this is when you're going to start to see huge differences. And I want you to pay close attention. This is even with quick draw grip, where you're very limited in your side-to-side omni movement. Notice how much faster I'm moving in my omni. Look at that. Look at that omni. Look at that side omni. I'm moving so much faster in my omni. Look at that. I'm moving so much faster. There isn't a bobbing animation. I'm able to move so much faster in this omni because of single tap to run. For some reason, the setting allows you to have far more movement speed when you're in the omni. And this is what most pros have recognized, and this is why most pros play on single tap to run. I mean, it's night and day. I mean, you can compare this to the first one. Again, I play on tactical claw flipped, and it's just a huge difference. I'm able to get in my slides. I'm not dead sliding as much. It's just a lot easier to move now. And again, it's not a skill issue because if you notice, I'm not really moving. I'm not tack sprinting. I'm using, for most of what I'm doing, it's simple movements. I'm moving side to side. I'm using omni. This is not a skill thing because every single pro, remember, every single pro plays on sprint assist. So you cannot complain that this is a skill thing because this is simply the difference between two settings. One is limiting your movement because it delays your omni. Whereas this setting, it allows you to be free in your omni with sprint assist on. So either you take off sprint assist or you play with single tap to run. Then we have quick draw with vertical grip. And I'm kind of just going through this. Obviously you can skip through. But I'm showing you just every single class that Ken uses and then the different settings. So obviously right there I got a dead slide, and that is typical of, or a really awkward backslide, and that's typical of quick draw. That's usually, see right there, that awkward backslide, that's quick draw. And that will hurt you a ton, especially when you're playing on single tap to sprint. When you go into an ADS, especially when you're fighting a player, you're going to lose aim assist. It's going to happen. You're going to lose aim assist. And there's nothing you can do about it. And Ken, it happens to him all the time. You're going to see the examples at the end of the video. It happens all the time. But even then, you can still see my omni. I'm moving way faster in my omni. Way faster in my omni. And I think this would really assist Ken because he's trying to move faster than his controller settings are allowing him. And specifically, he's trying to move faster than single tap to sprint will allow him. But you can just see I'm moving incredibly quick. And again, Ken is a bajillion times better than I will ever be. And you can see that there is just a level of fluidity with sprint assist and single tap to run. And this is one of the reasons why when Pred he called Zuma saying that they need to GA this setting, I disagree, because it has nothing to do with skill. It has everything to do with a broken setting, which is single tap to sprint, and its limitations in the omni. And then there's another awkward backslide, and that is common with quick draw. And that's why you should never use it. And then obviously I'm even moving faster just with single tap to run in comparison to single tap to sprint with quick draw and vertical grip. You can see I'm moving faster. Just a simple setting switch and boom, I'm moving faster. And so now we're moving to ergonomic and recoil springs, single tap to run. Now this is when things get really interesting. right? You can see, look how much faster I'm moving. Look at the Omni. There's no delay in the Omni. Notice the Omni, there's no delay. I can move back and forth. There's no delay. Go back to the first video, you saw when I was moving left to right, there was a slight delay after I did a slide. It would not allow me to go directly back into an Omni. And right here you can see, boom, I'm in the Omni constantly. It's like the Omni is a part of the entire character, and it's not something that's separate. And that's the thing, when you're playing with Sprint Assist on, you can't affect the Omni. You are locked into the limitations of how quickly single tap to sprint will allow you to Omni after you've gone into a slide or after you've ADS'd. And then with ergonomic, I mean, you can see that there's pretty much no dead slides. I'm moving so much faster. Look at that. I mean, it's incredible. And I don't know why no one is talking about this, or why no one has done a deep analysis on this. And the other thing about single tap to sprint versus single tap to run is that with single tap to run, you literally only have to single tap to go into your auto tack sprint. But with single tap to sprint, you have to double tap. And because there is a delay in the Omni, when you try to double tap after going into a slide or going into a side slide, 99% of the time, you're going to dead slide, especially if you're an AR. You're going to dead slide. It literally locks you into a position, and it's not like it's a cooldown. It's not a cooldown. It's simply locking you in, because I think what happens with single tap to sprint is when you're moving left and right, it's almost as though it's replicating you double tapping each side, and so it's hurting you. And then finally, this is the class that most ARs use. This is the class that I use. This is single tap to run, vertical foregrip, vertical grip, ergonomic grip, ported compensator, and Kepler. This is a class that most ARs use. And you can just see I'm just moving so much faster. But the movement is so much more fluid, and because you can, and again, saying skill issue or blah 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 blah, I'm using 99% Omni. You know, I'm not running around the map. I'm talking purely about Omni and how the Omni does not get locked, and it should not get locked, because if it's possible that you're able to run in any direction or move in any direction, there shouldn't be delays, so to speak, especially if you're just walking left and right. And so look at that. I mean, it's just night and day. And when you watch the clips of Ken, you'll see that he simply refuses to put this setting on. I don't know if it's because, I know, like I said, Pred, he tried to GA it. He talked to Zuma on stream saying they have to GA it. And if you notice, if you go and you watch Pred's gameplay against FaZe, he was playing on single tap to sprint. And then they got slammed. And FaZe, they all play on single tap to run. They don't care, because they're looking at what is the vast majority of the league playing on and what is going to be easier for us. Because FaZe, they tried to see what others were playing on and no one responded, and so now they're just playing on whatever they want, and they've opted for single tap to run, which is the obvious choice. And then if you watch the Rocker series with Pred, he put on single tap to run. And why do you think he was moving so much faster? Why do you think his movement was far more fluid? He was barely, I don't even think I saw him dead slide once. Shotzi refuses to play on single tap to run. He says that he loses aim assist, but I'm going to show you that it's the opposite. And it's one of the reasons why Shotzi has been getting slammed. Not slammed in the sense that he's losing, but he's losing a lot more gunfights against people playing on single tap to run, and you can see that he's losing a lot of aim assist. I'm trying to tell you, single tap to sprint, whatever preconceived notion or he has about it, after using it for maybe, he said a week or a couple days, something like that, he needs to just put it on. Because he's getting out, I mean, players that nobody, I mean, that in previous games they could never move, now they're out moving Shotzi because he's playing on single tap to sprint. And so here is a gameplay of me. This is me playing on single tap to sprint and playing with Kenny's class, which is what he usually uses with quick draw grip. Now you're going to see when I omni, look at the bobbing. Look at the bobbing of my gun. Look at the bobbing, and when I'm having to double tap. And sometimes when you double tap to tack sprint, when you go into a slide, or sometimes when you have a bit of momentum, sometimes the game will let you single tap into the tack sprint, or it will let you, you will have to double tap and then it will delay you. So right now you can see I'm just super delayed in my movement, and this is what Ken's POV looks like because he's playing with this setting on and this class, and it's not a good class. It's not a good class, especially when you're playing with single tap to sprint. And you're going to see there's a portion in this at the very end where I lose aim assist. And I can say that confidently that I lost aim assist for a second because I killed the guy at the very end. But I lost aim assist when I went into a side dive or a side slide. And so as you can see, there's just bobbing. I'm really limited in my omni. Remember the omni. This is what I'm arguing for, the omni, and this is what's hurting Ken. See the aim assist, it bobs. It's like you're playing with a different gun. It's bobbing. Right here, see right here I lost aim assist. I lost aim assist because, boom, I lock in. So you lose aim assist sometimes. And then right here, this is me playing how I usually play. I'm using vertical foregrip, ergonomic, and I'm playing with single tap to run. And I just want to show everyone, to show the differences. It's a single tap to run. So I'm playing with single tap to run. Look how much quicker. Look how much quicker I'm moving on the map. And again, I'm using a lot of omni. I'm trying to really showcase how the omni left to right back is a lot quicker. And people say single tap, double tap. It doesn't matter because it's the omni. You're using omni so much in this game. You're doing side slides. You can just see there's just a huge difference in the movement. Everything is just far more fluid. Right there, I'm not losing aim assist. I'm able to really lock on to players that I'm shooting at. I never experience moments when I'm losing aim assist. And that seems to be a common occurrence whenever I'm playing with, when I was playing on single tap to sprint in that entire game. Especially with quick draw grip, you lose aim assist. When you try to omni on a side, when you're side sliding, and you go into a gunfight, you will lose aim assist so many times, and it happens to Ken all the time. It happens to Ken all the time. And I know I'm talking a lot, but I'm just trying to fill space, and I'm just trying to show you guys the huge differences between these two settings. Look how much faster I am in the omni. Look at that side. Boom. Once I hit that side, I can go straight back into the omni. I can go straight back into the omni. There's no delay because again, 100% of pros are playing with sprint assist on, but with single tap to sprint. When you do an omni, when I do a side slide, when I utilize the omni, when I activate the omni, there is a slight delay, but it's not a delay in the sense of skill issue. No, it literally stops your character. It's stopping your character. And you can just see, I'm not losing aim assist. My movement looks completely different. And in a way, yes, it's easier, so to speak, but I think that the single tap to sprint setting, it's not a real setting. It's not a setting that anyone should play on. Personally. And even though pros, they want to play on double tap. It's just, in this game, it doesn't work because of the settings that Treyarch has. It doesn't work. Because the only way that you can truly have a skill gap, in my opinion, is if you get rid of sprint assist. And every pro, they have to omni every direction. You have to double tap back, you have to double tap side, double tap left. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And so here's some examples of Ken. Right, he's bottom P4. Right, look how his gun is bobbing. He's bobbing, and he's got the quick draw. And then look at when he omnis. Look at when he omnis. He's losing aim assist. He's losing aim assist. You can even see in that clip, Dashy, he's playing with tap to run. Look at, he's losing aim assist. And here's another example. And I just have a couple examples and then I'm done. Here's him. This is P2. Look at when he shoots at TJ. He literally is, like, he has no aim assist. He's got no aim assist with the quick draw and the single tap to sprint. And then look at here. Look at when he dead slides. He does like a dead slide and then he has no aim assist. There's no aim assist. And then here's another example, and you can even see Ken is like, what? He loses aim assist. So that's pretty much the end. Like I said, I think that if Ken makes these super small changes, that it will have a drastic impact on his gameplay. Obviously this was a long video. I'll probably have timestamps and stuff like that, but this is the same guy who was arguably one of the best players in MW3, who really changed our organization. I've been a fan of OpTic since original MW3, since the Merc, Scump, Big T, and Rambo. I've been watching these guys for so long. So I've been supporting OpTic for the longest time. I've been playing COD since COD 4, and this was just something that I thought I would bring up to show you guys the huge differences between Omni, as well as the huge differences in the Omni movement and aim assist when you're looking at single tap to sprint versus single tap to run. So yeah, this was a long video. If you want to watch the whole video, you can watch the whole video, or you can skip through. Just look at the examples. Thanks so much for watching, and I will probably never see you guys again, but green wall, green wall, green wall, and peace.